Okay, on the mid-range combines, we're going to talk about the feeder here. So we're going to go off of the feeder chain tension. So on the newer ones, they got this gauge here. Make sure the washer's right to the back of the gauge, gets to the front. We want to do some adjustment. This is on the mid-range. On the legacy combines where we don't have a gauge, we are tensioning the feeder chain even on both sides, but making sure it's just up off the floor in the middle there. So then going from the feeder chain tension, our drum stops, we got 3 different positions here, 3 different layers there you can go in. You could take that loose, slide it down, same way with what we do with any combine. Put a block in the front and the pry bar, hold the drum up, adjust it, tension it down. Most of them are running in the top setting, so that's where we adjust that. While we're here on this side, we got a reverser. The newer machines are running a little different setup, but the legacy combines with your hydraulic reverser setup here, making sure, we've had those accumulators on these for quite a few years. It's probably not going to hurt to get that accumulator checked, make sure we still got the right pressure in it, because if that accumulator goes bad, we're going to start cracking some cylinders. So, then moving on to the other side, we're going to go over here to this belt and this tensioner. This pin right here, there is a grease circ down in through there. That does not get greased often enough. So usually when this belt, we start having trouble with these belts running the headers and stuff, that is sticking right there. And then also the legacy machines don't have a gearbox over here, but the mid-range machines have this gearbox here, and the oil is checked with it up in the air. So same way here, feeder chain tension, drum stop.
Okay, now we're going to talk about on the mid-range and the legacies on the feeder forwards and this feeder drum. The feeder forwards start with, they will wear holes right mainly underneath where the chain comes down and where the most pinching is going on. Legacies is a little worse than the mid-range, but they do wear through right in this area underneath that drum. And then on the feeder drum, there's bearings in each side. These bearings, if you're getting a feeder chain that looks like they're adjusted crooked, or something ain't right and it's making noise, you better check these bearings. On the mid-range, it's kind of hard to see. They've got an actual plate in there that covers that bearing. I usually get a bar in there and get a light and raise up and down on the drum and feel the arm and see if the arm is moving with it. If you got a bearing clear out, the drum will move and the arm won't for just a little bit. Do that on both sides. Now on the legacy combine, you can actually see in there and see the bearing or feel it. And if you got a bearing go out, then you better get that drum out of there and put new bearings in and get everything so it's tightening up even and straight.
Alright, next we're going to go inside the feeder here, take a look at our stripper plates here, make sure that we have no material built up on the bottom side, make sure they are adjusted properly all the way up against the sprocket. And then on the sprocket here, we want to make sure that the sprocket itself is not hooking, causing our chain to jump or prematurely wear out our chain. Also look along, you can kind of use your sprocket as a straight edge to make sure that it is in line on all 3 strands and make sure you have not jumped one. Up next, we're going to go inside here to the rock trap beater. You just want to make sure on these wear bars that you have a nice square edge to pull on material. They're not getting rounded, not bent, damaged, any of that. Make sure all the hardware is there. And then moving on to the right side of the feeder, take a look at your slip clutch here. Just make sure there's no paint burned off on your slip clutch plate here, implying that it's slipping. Make sure your cogs, both of them there, springs are attached, nothing out of the ordinary. All your bolts are tight, everything looks good there. And then we'll move to the left side of the feeder. And on the left side here, you'll have your rock trap drive chain. You just want to make sure you're replacing this with the correct part number chain. It is a special chain, and there's O-rings inside of each link. They do that for longevity of the chain itself. And then also a reminder to dump your rock trap daily, so it's not getting packed full of a bunch of material. You just want to make sure that stays all loose and fluffy in there, so rocks can actually fall down into that rock trap.